Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Annovella. It's Sunday, which means it is Coffeeklatch. Coffeeklatch is a Flemish word that we use when we invite people over to have some coffee and a cookie or something sweet like cake or gâteau or pancakes or whatever. Yeah, pancakes is not breakfast. I didn't do that much this week. I did a lot, but not for reading. I read only a couple of books. One is non-fiction, and the rest is fiction or poetry. The first book I have to look it up because I've read it. I've read everything almost in ebook version, and the first one was a beautiful, beautiful poetry novel, a poetry book. It's called Hullo, Bookbabe Coco Come In. Hullo, Bookbabe Coco Come In. It is by South African poet Koleka Putuma. It is superb. It is powerful. It is strong and amazing and wow. And wow, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's Koleka Putuma is a South African queer poet, black poet, and Hullo Bookbabe Coco Come In is something they say when you are invited into the house. The poetry she writes is very powerful, very deceivingly simple, but that means that what she says really hits base, and she is, yeah, it was an amazing experience. Please go and look for it. It's worth your while. It's I think it's also poetry for people who don't have the habit of reading poetry, and yeah, it was an amazing experience. Then also on ebook, I read Catherine the Great, Portrait of a Woman by Robert K. Massie. Oh, what a woman. What a story, what a life. What a life she had. So Catherine was from a slightly impoverished family. She wasn't poor in our sense of the word, but she was nobility, but her mother married somebody also from nobility, but he was in the military, and of course people in the military don't earn that much, and well, not enough for the mom at least, and the mother was intelligent enough to let Elizabeth at the time, I believe, yeah, she was named Elizabeth at birth, to meet her, to let her meet very important people. So she knew the right circles, and Elizabeth at the time, the girl, was aware what her mother was doing, and she agreed with it. She was very ambitious, and at a certain point she could marry the nephew of what was her name? She was also an empress. I forgot her name, I'm so sorry. But the nephew was the grandson of Ivan the Terrible, or Peter the Great. Oh my God, I should have looked it up better, but it's less important actually. And he was the next in line to inherit the throne in Russia. She married the guy. It was a very young marriage. It was like they were like 14, 15. And the boy, Peter, never grew up because he had some very traumatic experiences during his upbringing. And in a way that was an advantage for Elizabeth. She was very smart. She was very educated. She educated herself constantly. She read all the important books. She knew Voltaire. She knew the very important enlightened thinkers. She knew the important painters, everything. And she was actually preparing herself to become a Tsarina. And so finally, her husband inherited the throne. They were not together at the time. Peter wanted another wife, but before he could do something, he was thrown off the throne, and she was crowned as Catharina. And Catharina became the Great because she ruled Russia for about 34, 36 years. She won a couple of very important wars. Again, in the Crimea area, for instance, but she also ended wars that her husband started. She said, well, we're not going to fight anymore. We're going to stop. Let's forget about this. And she was known for actually her exquisite tastes. She built a lot of stuff, and the Hermitage was her love child in a way. Catharina the Great also had many, many lovers, and lovers that she used also to strengthen her power. She puts them in very important places. Even one of them was head of another country. And yeah, it was she was really bright, and she was always a step ahead of the others. She was well respected, and actually she was she was the one who brought Russia closer to Europe. So a very intelligent, interesting woman to read about. I really would advise you to dive into her story. It is amazing. And Robert K. Massie has written really a very engaging, very well-researched book that is not overloaded with detail, just enough that you learn constantly, but still are amazed by her story and by... Yeah, he's a very good storyteller. Let's keep it to that. And he gives just enough detail to really learn something new. So it was a very, very enjoyable read. Maybe for Nonfiction November, Borders, anyone? Could be. Then I read this one, Distant Star by Roberto Bolaño. It was translated from the Spanish by Chris Andrews. Roberto Bolaño, I think it is. So it is about a poet, Alberto Ruiz Tengel. He was not a very talented poet, but he was part of the Chilean poetry community. And then after the military coup, he changed his name into Wieder. Yeah, that's his name, Wieder. Carlos Wieder. And thanks to the military regime, he could flourish. His friends, his poetry friends, were all captured because of resistance. And he became the star of Chilean poetry. He wrote poems in the sky, literally, with an airplane and smoke. And at a certain point, they discover that he is a lot more than just a poet. He has a very, very dark secret. But because he is a Chilean prodigy, nothing will really happen. His story is told by others, by the other poets who tell their story from jail, from in exile, everywhere. And it is really interesting. He does a lot of name dropping. So for people who know poetry really well or really want to discover more about Chilean poetry, read this book because it's like an encyclopedia of poetry names in Chile and other Latin American countries. It's very well done. Roberto Bolaño, A Distant Star, or A Distant Star. Really interesting. Together with this, I bought this second hand. I bought also this one. I don't know what it's about, actually. It's called by Preti Tanea, We That Are Young. It is an Indian novel, I believe. It's about money, power, corruption, and desire, unimaginable wealth, unspeakable hardship, and a family divided. I will read the blurb if you don't mind. When Jivan Singh returns to his childhood home after a long absence, it's only to witness the unexpected resignation of Devraj, the founding father of the company, a vast corporation at the heart of Indian life. On the same day, Devraj's youngest daughter, Sita, absconds, refusing to submit to marriage. Her older sisters, Radha and Gargi, are handed their father's company. So begins a vicious struggle for power, ranging from the luxury hotels of New Delhi and Amritsar, the palaces and slums of Napurtala, to the beautiful broken city of Srinagar, Kashmir. We That Are Young is a modern-day King Lear that bursts with energy and fierce, beautiful, measured rage. It presents a startling insight into modern India, the rise of a religious nationalism, the clash of young and age, the intensity of life in one of the world's fastest-growing economies. It is the tragedy of our times, for all time. Sounds really interesting. I have never read it. It's it sounds really cool. So I will try to read it one of these days. I was starting to read Amsterdam by Ian McEwan, but I couldn't get into it. I really couldn't concentrate on the story, so I didn't have the right mind frame. And then, or mindset, and then I started reading also on ebook, Boys and Oil, growing up gay in a fractured land, by Taylor Brorby, yeah, and it is amazing. Oh, what a beautiful story. Oof. It is magnificent in its descriptions of the country, the land, we're talking about North Dakota. His observations of the people of the land are amazing. It is about a young boy who grows up in oil country, in mine country. His parents are simple people, but they are loving people, and they do a lot for him. They move so he can go to the school he wants. It's so beautiful, and he is tiny. He is skinny. But he knows how to hold his own in a very gay and friendly community. He knows that humor helps him a lot not to be perceived as gay. And he also wrestles, and he is able, because he's so tiny, he is also capable of finding the weaknesses of the bigger, stronger boys, and he can defeat them. So it gives him a lot of inner strength to live in a hostile world. And I'm about halfway. I highly, highly recommend this book. It is poetry. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. The words are razor sharp. It's what a beautiful book. What a beautiful book. And then, yeah, that's about it. That's what I've read. I did a very funny talk with Catharina from Catharina Reads. I finished already Doorstopper Doom, but I will continue. I will see how far I will go. I hope Steve Donahue has another couple of interesting suggestions. He helped us a lot with that. Thank you very much, Steve. And yeah, we are having fun. So has anyone read this book by Pretty Tanecha? I don't know how to really pronounce it. We That Are Young. Sounds really interesting. Yeah, and I will reread Amsterdam later on. I went for a walk this morning and I found this. I hope you can see it. Somebody, focus. It says hope. It's very beautiful. Look how beautiful those. Can you see it? I don't know. Those tiny little flowers somebody painted on them. So I found it in the little park at the end of my road. It's beautiful. I will keep it for a while, and then I will give it to somebody else to find. Yeah, that's about it. I had, I don't know, how was your reading week? Did you have a good time? Did you have some real discoveries? Books have you read? Have you started the Doorstopper Doom book or not? How's Victober going? Are you ready for nonfiction November? I don't know if I will participate in a way that is, well, I always like to read nonfiction. There are even years that I didn't read any fiction, only nonfiction. So I've read a lot. Yeah, that's about it. Tomorrow I will put up a new writing exercise. It's a really fun one. And Wednesday I will put up my interview with Catharina about The Thornbirds by Colleen McCullough. It is a really brilliant book. You should read it. It was very popular in the 80s. And yeah, it still is very relevant today. So yeah, I wish you all the best. I wish you a great week, lots of successes, lots of fun, lots of breakthroughs in whatever kind of way. Is it with a puppy or puppy training or whatever, it doesn't matter. I wish you all the best and everything you want. Bye-bye.